An important message there at any time of year, but of course it is fundraising season, some big rides going on. Ottawa has a marathon coming up this weekend. Some events are fundraisers, some aren't. There's the big Ride for Heart in the city of Toronto coming up next weekend, beginning of June. All right, we'll start actually, I think, here in Southern Ontario. Good to see you. Suzanne Leonard, National Forecast. Mark Domsick, our producer behind the scenes. Kevin Langell in closed captioning. Big team. That's just a few of the names here. Big numbers. This is what I want to highlight for you. The Toronto Islands, the airport there, Pearson Airport, a record. This is 2+ inches of rain, over 50 millimeters in some cases of unneeded rainfall. The levels of Lake Ontario were high going into the season, and we've had some big bursts of rain that have poured off through the watersheds and drained into Lake Ontario. Wet weather off to the east. Wet weather off to the west, and we'll take it step by step across the country. The conditions here, the shoreline, some of them have been engulfed. Beaches have disappeared. Piers have been covered. So spotty showers, the future radar picking up that. And if you check out your local forecast in 1 minute from now, you'll see where it's currently raining. It has been lifting north. It's a drizzly gray day. And their heaviest rain edging out of the Maritimes on into Newfoundland, lingering moisture with some fog and some drizzle actually in parts of Ontario. And there's rain and there's colder air moving in. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of snow mixing in Newfoundland, Labrador, eastern Quebec. Meanwhile, the other end of the country, high pressure, it is warming up through the weekend. St. John's, some sunshine to start. That's the pop-up cloud cover. Downpours possible still. Ottawa, among other places across Ontario. And there's Winnipeg, dry for now, warm day and warmer still, and sunny weather in Vancouver. Big story, the heat building, big ridge in the jet stream. As we look at teen temperatures in Alberta, big jump up tomorrow and close to 30 degrees for BC. And more as we look. Important to be wildlife aware at any time of year, but there are some peak periods when wildlife are on the move, or they're moving into areas that we've moved into for a variety of reasons. And you're here for a variety of reasons. You're checking out your temperatures. Well, let me share with you the hottest place in Canada for the weekend. We'll be approaching 30 degrees starting tomorrow. Hot, dry summer weather. Keep yourself well hydrated. Slap on the sunscreen. High UV indexes. The sun is as strong now, May, as it is in July. Well, there's a contrast. We can see that warmth nudging up and trying to get into Ontario. It's warmer actually in the north without that east wind, keeping it cool places like the Golden Horseshoe today. There's wet weather in the prairies, very wet weather in the Maritimes, as a matter of fact. And as we trend through the next couple of days, the amplified jet stream warming the west, cooling, keeping parts of the east unsettled. And today, the Maritimes, well, wetter than it'll be this weekend. Thanks so much, Nate. 15 to 30 millimeters of rain for the Maritimes today, trending eastern Canada where it's going to be rather active through the weekend. Your local weather has more on this story starting now. Got a great show ahead for you today. We've got a report from Chrissy Van, based in Vancouver, where the heat is building, but she's actually talking about cold therapy. It's a fun piece. Stick around for that. Nate Coleman reporting from Atlantic Canada. Some of the soggy weather there and some beautiful spots, but still rather wet. Peggy's Cove and Lunenburg today and around the South Shore. Wet weather. System moving north. A break for most of Ontario, Quebec, but not all. Risk of thunderstorms again and the heat. The jet stream going way up in BC and Alberta, but a cool and unsettled end. Quite soggy, widespread 30 millimeters of rain along with strong winds for the Atlantic provinces, and coastal erosion, high spring tides, highest spring tides, and gusty winds with this incoming storm system. Then that'll move into Newfoundland tonight away from the Maritimes. Then Sunday, Monday, Ontario, Quebec, big trough in the jet stream digging in, and that will spell cooler weather. In fact, Dr. Doug coming up in just a moment with the Long Ranger. Let me show you the thunderstorm risk for Northern Ontario for Saturday. The Weather Network released its summer forecast this week. It is online and it is available on TV as well. And we're looking for summer weather, Doug, and it is a real contrast. Not everybody getting it yet.
Sure is. The pattern next week is a familiar one with a lack of sustained warmth, the mid-20s.
And I'm seeing the pool of cooler air here mimicking that jet stream.
Yeah, a reinforcing shot heads towards southern Ontario in the middle of the week. This building ridge in the west, this is good news and bad news.
Okay.
Good news for the areas where the fields are saturated, finally an opportunity to dry out. Bad news across the south, though, where we could use some more rain. We're not going to get it in the next 7 days.
Where we are getting rain and where we don't need it, parts of Ontario and Quebec. And there's that trend, those temperatures running a good 5 degrees above normal for this time of year.
Delightful weather for the west. Now let's zoom in and take a look at this, our slow-moving system. Wet weather across northern Ontario. And spokes of energy rotate around and bring several rounds of showers. No soaking rains like what we saw on Thursday, but occasional showers, some sunshine in between. The unsettled weather spreads into Atlantic Canada Tuesday into Wednesday, and we continue with that unsettled patterns. We continue to play this out right through Wednesday, and some chilly temperatures to go along with that. Take a look at Wednesday's high temperatures. 17 in Toronto. It's going to be warmer in Yellowknife and Whitehorse.
And Wednesday is the last day of May, which begs the question, what is June going to be like? And as we accelerate into Friday, I'm still seeing that imbalance, a cool down in BC.
Yes.
What does that tell you about what's coming?
Well, a bit of a shift in the pattern. We're not going to see heat moving into the east, but the focus of the warm weather will be in the prairies along the west coast. Temperatures will be trending down at the end of next week.
Into June. Thanks so much, Nate. There is a system moving through the Maritimes today. Not a tropical system, but it's got an abundance of moisture. It's been heavy rain with low cloud ceilings today. Sweeping north, there's the lightning down the Gulf Stream. And behind the low, a couple of showers in Ontario and in the prairies. Well, the flow is still out of the north, but the temperatures are recovering as the skies break up in Alberta. Boy, do we have an amplified jet stream pattern as we look ahead. I'll show you that in a second. Future radar, just a couple of little sprinkles likely for showers. That's the wraparound or backside of the low in Ontario. Quebec, Ottawa Valley, Gatineau, Montreal, a little gloomier today than areas further west and go further east. That's where we've got the steadier rain. That system lifting up through the lower North Shore, Labrador, Newfoundland. There's warm air. We're in the 20s east of James Bay today, but there's colder air flowing south. So that will end up being a little bit of snow. Wanted to show you the webcams across the country, live webcams. Well, we saved this from around lunchtime today for Ottawa and St. John's and Winnipeg, Vancouver. Nothing but sunshine today and hot temperatures coming up, building right through the weekend. Plenty of sunshine. Risk of thunderstorms mainly east of Saskatchewan. Well, let me just show you. Risk of thunderstorms for today in the prairies and moving more steadily into northern Ontario for tomorrow. The rain is mainly in the north. And the weekend forecast, we see some rain approaching the southern Great Lakes by Sunday. Cryotherapy. Chrissy Van tackling the cold. I don't know about you, but with June around the corner, I'd rather be tackling this, the heat. Suzanne Leonard with you. The team, it's Friday, getting into your weekend forecast. Love to bring you the good news. Saturday afternoon, closing in on 30 degrees. Now, we've had high water levels in the Okanagan and other parts of the interior. Also, there have been a couple of fire outbreaks. Many are caused by lightning. Many are caused by human carelessness. So keep that firmly in mind. If you're lighting a campfire, if you're running an ATV or a lawnmower, things that sometimes have been known to throw sparks and start fires, cigarette butts. All right, here's a look across the country for Saturday afternoon. Not closing in on 30 degrees, not even going to make it to 20 parts of southern Ontario and the Maritimes. It will be drier in the Maritimes than it is today. We've got wet weather sweeping north. Watch what happens, though, when colder air meets up with the wet weather. That blue is a little bit of snow. Drier in the Maritimes, sun coming out. Halifax, you'll get some lingering cloud cover. And it's windy today. There have been concerns about storm surge, high water levels for shoreline areas, Bay of Fundy, Northumberland Strait, Nova Scotia's South Shore. Meanwhile, we seem to be talking about high water levels a lot. There's the high ridge, big bump up in the jet stream. So warm temperatures and a broad but rather disorganized area of low pressure taking shape. Rain and thunderstorms, northern Ontario tomorrow, southern Ontario, the more likely zone for Sunday. And for many of you, the rain will likely hold off until late day Sunday. Forecast models flipping and flopping on that, so please check your local forecast for the latest timing. The thunderstorm risk, Alberta, Saskatchewan, northwestern Ontario. That's primarily this spin of low pressure with a occluded front extending down to another U.S. low. All of this to say it's kind of weird looking in its shape, but it's an area of lift. So rain and thunderstorms, parts of the west, rain and strong winds and wind warnings at last check for Cape Breton and for southwest Newfoundland. So that big push of water up against the shorelines. Sunday overnight is what this map is pinpointing. We hope it'll hold off until that, but it could come a little earlier. Your local forecast right now. Thanks so much, Nate. Standing out in the rain. Oh, I could almost smell the salt air, couldn't you? Beautiful Nova Scotia. Very moody and atmospheric today, kind of gloomy. We often get that weather, any shoreline area. We see it in the Great Lakes. We've had some patches of fog today. Also BC with our marine climate, but anything but today. High pressure, big ridge. You can follow the cloud cover here. You can see that building ridge. You can see the twist of low pressure, another one south of the border. Thunderstorms. We put the lightning bolts on. Oh, that's easy to pick out, isn't it? That's the low. It's pushed rain through, moving away from Lunenburg, Mahone Bay, Peggy's Cove, Chester, moving north of Halifax, moving up through Newfoundland, where we've had some sunshine to start. The rain most unneeded for some areas that have been soggy, very soggy this spring. In some cases above average rainfall, in other cases normal rainfall. But it's come in big bursts, and some of the big lakes, not to mention the small lakes, but some of them are much higher than normal. And Lake Ontario's level is somewhat artificially controlled. So that has had something to do with the high water levels downstream through the St. Lawrence Seaway. I digress. There are a bunch of things, though, that are a number of factors that are contributing to high water levels this spring, and it's ongoing for the Maritimes. Coastal erosion with these high spring tides and with this strong storm, it's got pretty powerful winds. So that wind field will ease up as the system moves off to Newfoundland tonight. Another low for central Canada in the long-range forecast. Just want to show you the thunderstorms, the risk for Saturday, and the risk is in adjacent areas of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and a little bit for the Alberta border region for today. In fact, let me show you. That's the thunderstorm risk map. Lightning always the most dangerous thing with thunderstorms, which is why we always emphasize lightning safety. The warm-up is underway for Western Canada, and that jet stream is going to stay way up for tonight and for Saturday and for Sunday. Local weather coming up with more of what you can expect this weekend, and I hope it's not storms like this. Force of nature coming up.